Basketball Manitoba podcast, we have Megan Noonan. She is a graduate of Fort Richmond Collegiate and played 4 summers with the provincial team. She was ranked in the top 10 and was named an All-Manitoban in her grade 12 year. She went on to have a 5-year career with the Winnipeg Wesmen, where she was 3-time co-captain and a 2-time Canada West All-Star, winning a bronze medal at the Canada West Final Four. She still ranks among the all-time leaders in three-pointers made in Canada West history. After graduating, she returned to Fort Richmond as a head coach of the varsity girls team, leading them to division champions and earning an MHSAA Coach of the Year in 2020. She has coached at multiple levels, including head coach of the U17 Female Provincial Team in 2018. She also coached the TAP South program, U15 Evolve Girls Program, and Mini Ballers Grassroots program. She is currently an assistant coach with the University of Winnipeg Wesmen, a mentor coach for the U15 Girls Provincial Team, and serves as the Director of Operations for the Winnipeg Sea Bears. Megan, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So you got me all excited before we went on because you're like, yeah, I actually listen. I was like, you do? I was like, okay, let's go. We got a listener.
Yeah, I am a consistent listener of this podcast. I think it's
Nice.
really cool just learning about everybody from the Basketball Manitoba community. So just learning a little bit more about people I already know but don't know that much about. So yeah, I'm a
Yes.
big fan.
Yes, that's the coolest part. I say this on every podcast, so like anyone who listens is like so annoyed, but I'm so grateful because like you just said, you know people, like you know their basketball, like oh they went to this school, but you don't know like their stories and like so to hear like who their mentors are and who actually got them into playing and stuff like that, you're like, oh, that's so cool. Like that was my coach or like, I played with that person. So that's the part that I think is the coolest.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's a big community, but when you look at it, like there's so much different connections and
Yeah.
people, everybody knows everybody. So it's really cool
Yeah.
what you're doing here. So
Yeah, no, it's awesome. It's I was talking to Adam and because Adam's the director. I'm the just the interviewer here, and he said, okay, we're ready to go for season 6 or something like that. I said, we're on season 6, and I said, how many years has it been? And we did our first episode in 2021, I think, and I was like, whoa. I was like,
wow.
that I didn't know that, right? So, anyways, that said, we're inching close to 100, and Adam Wedlig will be episode 100. He has given me his word, so that'll be cool.
Nice. Yeah, that will be cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But anyways, we're not here to talk about Adam just yet. Want to talk about you, but I actually want to start before we get into your stories, kind of what you're
hmm
doing right now with your role. I asked you where you are right now. You're like, oh, I'm in, the coach's office with the Sea Bears. And so as I read in your bio there, like you've been working for the Sea Bears. I think how many years has it been now that you've been with the organization?
I was actually employee number 1 hired. So David Asper, the owner, and then Jason Smith, the president. It was just the two of them, and I was the first employee hired. I think I got the news like right before Christmas of December 2022, and then I started January 3rd of
Nice,
2023. So yeah, so I've
nice.
been here since day one, which is it's been really cool to see it kind of grow and see what's happened over the past 2.5 years, 3 years.
Yeah, I
So
guess this is the
yeah.
start of the third or like the
Yeah,
beginning of the season 3, I guess, right? But
yeah,
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 because
for sure.
you're working in the off season just because there's not games, you're still doing stuff.
100%. Yeah, we are
Yeah.
still doing stuff and it's funny because people are always like, "Well, the season's only three months. What are you guys doing for the rest of them?" And we're still a startup business and like
Yep.
anybody who knows startup knows that like there is so much to do to get yourself off the ground and we're still doing it like, into our third season. So, um it's been interesting. It's been a lot of work over like the past 3 years, but it's been fun. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Not a lot of people get to do basketball as their job, basketball related activities. And so you're one of the fortunate ones. I remember when I used to work at WNBA, and like although I was answering emails and stuff, I was like, man, like this is a job in basketball. This is really cool because like whatever I'm doing, basketball games are happening and people are playing a sport that as I know you love and I love and has been a big part of my life. So you get to experience that like at a different level because you're like with pros. But the cool thing for you is the work that you do actually inspires tons of other people to enjoy the game and actually partake with kids and families and stuff like that. So it must be like an extra level of cool.
Yeah, it's for sure really special. And every time somebody asks me about this job, that's kind of like my favorite part. And it's interesting being here since day one. It's kind of hard to see what we've done, like what this organization has done from an outside perspective, because like I'm so like in it every
Yeah.
single day. But even just at our games, like you take a step back and you see like all the fans and like all the merch. When I see
Mhm.
merch walking on the street still, it's still
Yeah.
so cool because I'm like, oh, like I had a hand in designing that and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, like I have to pinch myself sometimes to like just like see where this has taken basketball in Manitoba and to be a part of it. It's super special. But yeah, sometimes it's hard to like actually see what it is because it's like my day-to-day life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
mhm.
you're in the grind.
Yeah.
You're like in there doing the stuff. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, you guys are doing a great job. Every time I talk to anyone, I'm just like, it's so awesome. What your role now is director of operations. So I
Hmm.
know I know this, but why don't you tell people all the different things that you do? But and yeah, just tell us about like what your actual role is day to day, and then maybe strategically as well.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad you know, because sometimes when I try, everybody's like, "Oh, what's your role?" And the title director of operations means so many things to so many different
Yeah, it's like
people.
a
Like
catch-all too, right? Like
exactly. I kind of
operations.
say that like I'm just like a giant umbrella and I
Yeah.
capture everything underneath kind of thing. So, a big part of my role is basketball operations. So basically all the logistics of running this basketball team, like player housing, travel, game day, venue operations, all that kind of stuff. I'm kind of like the players' go-to person when they need anything, and I set up everything. And then another big part of my role that I kind of just took over this past couple months is being like in merchandise operations.
Mm.
So that's given me like a pretty cool perspective, more of like the business side of things. It's there's so much that goes on into like a shirt that lands on a rack and people are paying for it. It's like the steps to make that happen is crazy.
Yeah.
So it's been interesting that way to learn a little bit more about like the business side of things and kind of planning and strategically planning year over year in terms of that kind of stuff. So those are like my two main things. And then everybody who's in operation knows that you're kind of just the catch-all for everything else.
Yeah.
So I have
Yeah.
my hands in a lot of different things, especially being employee number one. I
Yeah.
kind of know almost everything that goes on around here. So I help out where I can. Being a startup, we all have our hands kind of everywhere. There's only 10 full-time employees in the office. So we're
Mhm.
constantly helping each other out and helping each other kind of do things. But those are kind of my two main roles right now, basketball and merchandise, and then
Nice.
everything else. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
So, and then, but this year's a special year though, because we're hosting.
Yeah. Yeah. We're hosting
So,
Champ Weekend.
yeah, how does the so again, like I've been involved in events and I know maybe it's a little different. Does the CBL bring in people that take a huge chunk of it, or because you guys are the hosts, it's like all on you and then they provide some ancillary pieces? How does that work?
The CBL does play a big hand in helping run it. We've actually contracted out an event company
Okay.
ourselves to kind of help put that on. So we have people on the ground helping plan that with the CBL, and then
Okay.
in terms of us, we're kind of just helping where we can. Because it'll be a giant event,
Oh yeah.
and with only 10 employees in the office, it's
Yeah.
we have our hands full. So. I think it'll be really cool. It'll be fun for the city. The people planning it are doing a really good job already, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen at the
Yeah.
end of August. So,
Yeah,
mhm.
very cool, very cool. Yeah, no, I'm so excited being in basketball for so long, and every time I get a chance to praise the league itself, I do it. I mean, the league made it through the pandemic somehow, and is then once you're through there, like, hey, let's get some more teams, and it's been good so far. And I mean, there's going to be challenges as with everything, but I just so grateful to see like the thing that makes me so I'll make this about myself for like 2 seconds. When the Winnipeg Thunder used to be here way back when, they were here for like I don't know how many seasons, like 4 seasons or something, and it was like a comparable level to what you'd see with the CBL. It might even be there's some NBA guys. Anyways, I started playing basketball and I was coached by some people who are still in the community to this day in Thunder basketball. And I still remember it to this day. And I remember being at the games. And I know that now there's all these kids who are like, this is amazing. And like they're having that experience. So for me, that's like the most exciting part because basketball is, a sport that I love and I want to see more people play it. And I'm sure it's inspiring more people to get involved. So it's yeah, I just love the league and then obviously what the Seabears are doing. So super cool.
For sure. Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
agree with you. I think it's really cool just to have that, like, I mean, accessibility to professional basketball in
Yes.
Winnipeg. Like it's very cool. And I think Adam Wedlick was the one who shared a stat with us our first year of like our season 2023. Basketball registration grew like almost 30% in Winnipeg,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
like obviously we're not going to take all the credit, but I think like getting people excited about that and showing them kind of a path of growth is something that like we're excited that we can do. And
hmm
so yeah, it's been fun to be a part of for sure.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's sweet. Well, on that note, talking about growing and starting to play
Hmm.
basketball and being inspired, we're here to talk about not the Sea Bears, but your
Yeah.
actual story and how you
Hmm.
how you got into basketball. I mean, you had your own career yourself. I'm not sure how much you play nowadays, but you definitely were all in as far as a player at some point. So I want to take us back to like the start of it all with you, and I was asking you like who got you involved in the game of basketball? Or maybe more importantly, do you have a first memory of like starting to play basketball?
Well, my first memory versus what my parents tell me is a little bit different.
Okay, tell us both.
My memories don't go back that far. But for sure, my older brother, Neil Noonan, is
Yeah,
like the whole reason that I started to
yeah.
play basketball. I wanted to be exactly like him as I was growing up. I would go to his room and take his clothes and put them on, and I would just want to do whatever he was doing. So he was super interested in basketball. I know my dad tried to get us both on skates and failed, but so I wanted to be like Neil. My mom says when I was like 3 years old, I used to be dribbling a basketball up and down the sidelines of his
No way.
games. Yeah, I don't quite remember that, so she might have been lying a little bit, but I started basketball like when I was probably 5. Um, I
Wow.
was a young tot. I think I was probably the only girl playing at that point. But yeah, I started, I don't even know if it was like community club or what it was back then, but I was young for sure. Yeah.
Interesting. So yeah,
Hmm.
I mean it must have been if you were 5 or 6. Like I know they had community club ball, but yeah, shout out to your brother, man. Cause like I think if my memory serves me right, I may have coached him at some point. I'm almost positive. But I know some like my John Lundgren coached him at
Yes,
FRC
yes.
in the 10th
Yeah.
grade, if I'm
Hmm.
not mistaken. Yeah. And they
Yeah,
won
you're
a
correct.
provincial championship,
They
did they
did.
not?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I have a
Hmm.
little memory left in me.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So no, your shout out to your bro. So that's kind of like how you maybe got inspired to play. So then what
Hmm.
after that, like, I mean, you said you were playing when you were young. Did you play community club? Did you like what was like the next step in your journey where you like kept playing?
Yeah, I played community club and district and that kind of stuff. My dad was kind of all hands in with both me and my brother, so he was our community club coach. I think he was even a convener at one point. So he was super involved growing up, and I was trying to constantly recruit my girlfriends to come play basketball with me, so I wasn't the only girl. But yeah, I found I kept playing with my friends, and then eventually it just became something that I was like super interested in. I was still doing lots of other sports, but
Yeah.
come I think junior high is when my dad was like, okay, it's time for me to step back and you to have a not your dad as a coach, and junior high basketball started. So as soon as I got to grade 7, I started playing the grade 8 team at
Got
Arthur A.
it.
Leach. So
Yeah. So
mhm.
would have that been Kirkfield Westwood Community Center
No, it
or
was Richmond West
Richmond
Community
West?
Center.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Got
yeah.
it. Got it. Okay. Nice,
Yeah.
nice. And then
Hmm.
when like you mentioned your dad obviously and your brother, would you say that like early on they were your two biggest influences and mentors in basketball, or were there other people involved that were notable?
I think early on it was probably those two. It was just kind of the stuff we were doing. But once I hit grade 8, I had just so many amazing female basketball coaches, like literally the rest of my life. which I mean, I would love to shout out all of them, but like from grade 8, I think it was like Dion Williams, Sue Gilmore. I had Leanne Turner and Michelle Edwards. We won a few provincial championships at Arthur Leach. Um, and then from Arthur Leach, I went to Fort Richmond Collegiate, and that transition, Jody and Darren Sampson actually became
Mhm.
a big part of my basketball career. I'm sure they still hate me for choosing Arthur Leach over Acadia. Um, but they forgave me once Acadia and
Yeah.
Arthur Leach merged into FRC. So yeah, so junior high was like kind of the years where I was like, oh, I might be kind of good at this basketball thing.
Mm,
Yeah, and then FRC, obviously I had some success there as well.
yeah.
Um yeah.
Did you when you went, is FRC like starts in the 10th grade?
I think by now it
Or
might
is it
start 9, but when I was there, it started in the 10th grade. Yeah.
okay,
So
okay.
Arthur A. Leach was at Arthur A. Leach, you kind of could go to Massey or Fort Richmond. And
Uh,
then so Fort Richmond was like I guess Acadia and Arthur A. Leach were feeder schools for Fort Richmond. So
and then did
mhm.
you, when you were in the 10th grade, did you play JV or do you play go right to varsity?
I did play JV.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Okay.
had so many, well, actually, Jody and Darren Sampson in the, I guess, summer, like that we were all graduating grade 9, they kind of made this future FRC team with the Acadia girls and a bunch of my Arthur A. Leach girls. So they were kind of like prepping us for Fort Richmond. So yeah, so I did play JV, and that's when we won our first provincial championship. So yeah, that was very exciting.
Nice, nice. So when you
Hmm.
said they were building that team, was that like a club team?
Yeah, it was a club team. I think we went down to the States a couple times. I think it was like the spring, so it's like just when we were finishing grade 9. They kind of got us all together and got us prepared for grade 10, which was awesome. And Jody and Darren were like a huge uh impact into like changing my game from like junior high to grade 10. Like Jody and Darren put in a lot of hours with just me in the Acadia gym, even though it was an Arthur Leach kid.
They brought you in. Let's go.
Yeah, yeah. So that was really good. Hmm.
Were you always a good shooter, or did that come later?
I mean, I think I was always a good shooter. I'm not gonna lie, I don't really remember. But I feel like that's something just I always went to. I know, um, like by the time I was in grade 10, I was working on different kind of shots, like the step back and the shooting beyond the 3-point line and stuff like that. So I feel like I wouldn't have been doing that if I wasn't a
Yeah,
good shooter
probably not.
before then.
Probably
Yeah.
not. Probably
Hmm.
not. So then, but
Yeah.
you know, I read in the intro though that you played 4 years provincial team. Was that correct, or was I just reading
Yeah,
it
no,
off?
I
It's
did.
like,
Yeah, so
yeah,
I guess I played 2 years at U15, and Kelly Sinnock and Suki Chuen were my coaches for
yeah,
those 2 years.
yeah,
When I was young, like I didn't play much
yeah,
that very first year I played U15. It was just I was happy to be there kind of thing.
yeah.
And even in my second year of U15, when I guess I was in grade 9, um, I still wasn't like a star. I wasn't like a shoe-in for the 12-man roster. I still had to work for every position I got or all the minutes. So that was kind of still something that I was like working towards. But um, Suki, I remember after that last year of U15, she took me out for coffee. I remember this so distinctly. We were at Tim Hortons on Pembina right by U of M, and she was like, "What do you want to do with basketball?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know. Like I hope maybe I'll have a good high school career and, have fun." And she was like, "Well, do you want to play university basketball?" And I was like, "Oh, I can't do that." Like, and this was grade 9, and
Really?
I was like, "I'm not good enough to do that." And she was the one that kind of was like, "You totally are. Like, you got to put in work." Like, I was really small compared to a
Hmm.
lot of my peers, but she was like, you totally can, especially if you decide it now, like you're still young. And she was the first person that kind of made university basketball like a realistic goal of mine.
Mm.
So I still remember that, Tim Hortons, that conversation.
Wow. Shout
Yeah,
out Suki. This is the second
yeah.
interview that she's appeared, well, not appeared on, she's been spoken of. And yeah, like she is what she just did in that moment, she's very good at that. She's
Mm-hmm.
very good at making people believe like, oh, yeah, you can do that. That's one of her powers is making people feel good.
Yeah,
And I
for
just
sure.
interviewed Kelly. I just interviewed Kelly.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So she talked about
Yeah.
this team and Suki as well. So
Yeah.
at that time, I mean, you played provincial team, but the belief of that you could even play, you didn't even have that belief of like, oh, I can be a university player. It wasn't even something you were thinking of.
No, and it's funny because I think at that time I was playing junior bisons as well. I played junior bisons like for a long time growing up, and at that time all of the girls who were on the actual bison team were our coaches.
Hmm.
So I mean they were Sarah Holder and Michelle Hines at the
Hmm.
time. I know there's
Hmm.
Sarah Lundgren and
Yeah.
Michelle Sung now, but
Yeah.
um yeah, I remember just being like totally obsessed with them and just like I just thought they were so good at basketball and there's no way that I could ever be that good and stuff like that. And um yeah, so Suki was the one who like made me believe and then like working with Sarah and Michelle and the junior Bisons, I think you get exposed a little bit more to the university basketball, right? Just building those relationships with
Hmm.
the university athletes and it slowly became something that I was like, oh, maybe I could do this. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You started to believe eventually.
A little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
once you get enough evidence, you're like, oh, okay, fine. I'll
Yeah.
I'll accept it. I'll accept it. I'm good
Yeah.
enough. No, it's interesting. Like I said, like I interviewed Kelly, and it came up quite a bit on her podcast. Was this exact thing where like she said, my job is to like make people believe that they're capable. You know what I mean? As a
Hmm.
coach, because a lot of times, and this is exactly what she was talking about, is there's people who like young kids don't know what they're capable of, and so it's your job to be like, no, you can do that. And they're like, really? I can?
Yeah, for
And that's
sure.
as a
Yeah.
coach, like as a coaching young people, like that's a lot of your job. Like, no, you're good enough. You can do this. And they're like, okay, okay. So you literally had that moment, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
For
Hmm.
her to explain that. And then so you went on after though, you played 2 years with the U17 team as
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So I 2 years with the U17 team, and both those years, Tanya McKay and Tammy Pennell were the head
Hmm.
coaches. So
Yeah.
that's kind of when I first got exposed to University of Winnipeg because all my life I was a South End girl,
Yeah.
junior
Yeah.
Bisons. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I played 2 years U17, and by the time I was like in my last year of U17, I was in this a starting spot, and I was starting to think about university and that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
my high school career definitely like I blossomed, I would say, into kind of the player I was.
Hmm.
Um, but still, I remember I think it was I guess your grade 10 when you are the younger age of the U17 provincial team and I remember trying out and I was like not a shoe-in still, and Tanya and Tammy had no clue who I was, and Sarah Lundgren was actually the third coach because that was a no, it wasn't the summer games, but she was the third coach and she was my junior bison coach. So I
Mm.
know she vouched for me, like, hey, I know this girl's tiny and but she works hard and she can shoot. Like if we're deciding between her and other people, we should think about her. So shout out to Sarah for getting me on that team. But once I was actually there, I think I proved myself. I think I went from being like almost a practice player to by the time nationals rolled around, I was like in the top seven. So
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, shout out Sarah. Yeah. Well, it's
Hmm.
interesting because obviously you said South End, Fort Richmond, you're steps away from U of M, steps away. And then you end up at UW for 5 years.
Hmm.
But as we know, Tanya is a wonderful coach, an amazing
Hmm.
coach, and she's a very good recruiter as well. And she's really good at what she does. And you had her for 2 years as a coach as well as the provincial team.
Yeah.
But all that to say, like, how did you end up at UW? Like, was it as simple as like, hey, she's like, are you coming? And you're like, yeah. Or was there a process around you considering whether or not you were even going to go there?
Well, it's a funny story. So I played for Tanya for 2 years. And I don't think the first summer I talked to her at all. She kind of scared me. And she'll tell this story to the same day. Like I was just like a mute. I did not want to talk to her. I always went through Sarah when I needed to talk to the coaches. And then by the second year, I had warmed up to her a little bit, like we spent a summer together, kind of
Yeah.
knew her. And that nationals, I think they were in Toronto. I ended up with mono. I started getting sick
No
halfway
way.
through the week, and my tonsils were like almost closed, like they were so swollen. And um my this was at the end of the week, so my parents had they were going to New York from Toronto, so my parents had already gone to New York, so they weren't there. So Sarah was like my little mom helping me out, and then I went to the hospital to get some sort of like to get checked out because it was so bad. And Tanya, we still joke about this to this day, but Tanya was the one who took me to the hospital, and I was so sick. It was like that was the first time I had like a real conversation with her at the hospital because she had to take me there. So it's funny, we still joke about that. I didn't talk to her for 2 years until she had to take me to the hospital, and
Yeah.
then we developed kind of relationships. So that was the summer going into grade 12. So after that summer, that's when I had some like serious conversations with Tanya and Tammy about going to U of W. And as a junior bison, that was a hard decision. My parents lived 5 minutes from U of M, so
Yeah.
I had to drive by it every time I had a 30 more minutes to get to U of W. But I committed pretty early in grade 12 after that
Okay.
summer with Tanya and Tammy. So yeah.
Okay. So were you considering like did you have any other options or was it essentially just like hey the two home teams that was kind of what you were looking at?
Yeah, it was mostly those. I had a couple like college offers too, but I'm such a homebody. I knew I wanted to stay at home, and
Hmm.
that was actually the year Michelle got the head coaching job. So that
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
transition,
yeah.
like Pam Danis was actually like talking to me and recruiting me, but if I would have went there, it would have been Michelle's first year.
Yeah, that's
So
yeah, yeah,
it was just a weird transition for the Bisons,
for
and I
sure.
had developed a good relationship with Tammy and Tanya, and so yeah, it just kind of felt like a good fit. I knew lots of the girls on the team and that
Hmm.
kind of stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. No, that's sweet. That it's interesting like the connections that you make and the timing of it all. Like who knows? Maybe you don't get sick and maybe you never
Yeah.
I don't know. Like
Literally, I don't know. Yeah,
seriously,
like
right? Like you're like, oh, I don't know. Like she's scary. I'm not gonna talk to her.
yeah, that for sure changed the trajectory of mine and Tanya's relationship. Yeah,
Yeah.
it
It's
was
such
yeah.
these little things, right? Like you can't
Yeah.
like people often notice these big moments, but that like I mean, well, it was a pretty big moment. You're obviously very sick and your head coach drove you to the hospital. But yeah, like that literally could have been the moment because you don't
Yeah.
know like what would have transpired because like it happened, right? And you can't go
Yeah.
back. But yeah, so anyways, you ended up at UW and
Mm-hmm.
you were there for 5 years.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
you had quite a career. I read in the bio there. I was kind of like highlighting some of the success you guys have had. Um, I want to ask you a few questions, but like, what are some of the maybe more memorable moments during your time there? Like, obviously, you're gonna say the people, the players, the coaches, and that's cool, and I want to hear about that. So, what
Yeah.
stands out? Like, when you think about okay, my time at UW, what are some of the things that stand out the most to you?
Um, I- Honestly, staying home for university, like I'm so happy
Mm,
that I did that. I like having my parents at every single game, and I
yeah.
have like a good group of high school friends who are not into basketball at all, but they were able to like come watch and be a part of that. And like those 5 years are such a big, important part of your life. So to be able to have everybody in my life involved in those 5 years,
Mm,
I look back and like I'm so thankful that like everybody was able to be a part of that journey with me. And that's something like I'm still grateful for to this day. And then obviously the people, I know everybody says the people, but like my teammates are still some of my best friends. Like we still have a group chat. We hang out constantly, and just getting to do life with them still, like post Westman is the best. Like you can't ask for more than that.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Tanya did a really good job of getting the most out of our experience. Like I think I went on like a big trip, like almost all of my 5 years. We got to go to Germany, we got to go to Cuba, Halifax, and we actually got to go to Tokyo too, which is probably one
Yeah.
of the cooler experiences of my life. But yeah, just all those trips are definitely something that like I'm never gonna forget, and I'm super grateful that like just playing the sport I love. It took me around the world like that, which is super cool.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I mean, it's that's so cool. Yeah, because I was gonna say like Tokyo, right? Because I remember seeing a
Hmm.
picture of you and you guys out there. Um yeah, I remember that specifically because I believe because Burke Taves, I think, I don't know if you guys connected
Yes.
with their
Yep. Yep.
team and you guys
Yeah.
scrimmaged and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
very
No,
cool.
Tokyo was so cool. We actually got to stay. Burke Taves, I guess, played around the same time Tanya did. I guess that's how
Yeah,
they had the connection. So he was coaching a pro team out
yep.
there. So yeah, it was kind of like a spur of the moment trip, it felt like, because it happened in August, which is like our off season. And I think in June or July, Tanya was like, "Hey, who wants to go to Tokyo in August?" Like we we didn't even take our full Wesmen team. Like we took a couple other like kids from Winnipeg, like Kanisha Giles, who wasn't playing with us, but just was available to go to Tokyo. So it was such a fun trip. We got to stay in the dorms that the Burke Taves team was playing or staying in. So we got
Nice.
kind of like the full experience, the toilets on the ground,
Oh,
and
yeah, the
yeah,
squat toilets.
yeah, yeah. So
That's
yeah,
so cool.
it was such a fun trip. Yeah, super
That's
cool.
that's so
Hmm.
cool. Yeah, and you know what? Like I kind of say, I ask the question. I'm like, yeah, I know you're gonna say the people, but like that is the thing that everyone says because it's like it's kind of what you remember. It's the important thing. I always remember this. I think it was Kirby who said it first, but I don't know. It could have been Ross. Everyone who's like a great says it. They're like, when you realize that you're actually just playing a people game, not the game of basketball, the game of basketball becomes much easier because like the game is the people. It's not the game on the court.
Hmm.
That's something that you do as well, but the main game is people because that no matter
Right.
if you're on the court, off the court, it's all people, right? And once
Yeah.
you make that switch and you just try to help people, everything
Hmm.
becomes so much better, right? So of course
Yeah.
your best memories are like these experiences with your friends and everything like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
No,
super
for
cool.
sure.
You so then speaking specifically on the court, okay, so this is where I have like the worst memory, but
Yeah.
for some reason, did you is am I I'm thinking of some like big game. Did you hit a big game winner or something in some big game? Or am I just making that up completely in my head?
Oh
I have
my
this
God.
like
I like
memory
it
of
with
like
the
uh,
Westmen. I'm not
yes, with the
sure. I don't
Westmen.
know. I
No,
don't
you
know if I
okay,
ever
it's
hit
not you
like a
then. Because
big
you were to
game
remember,
winner.
you'd be like, oh yeah, I
Yeah,
did that.
no.
Yes, sorry, I'm making
Yeah,
completely making that up.
it's okay.
Yeah, you hit a game winner, right?
Yeah.
But speaking of that, like, what are some of the more memorable on court moments? I know, obviously, I mentioned in the intro that you guys had some good teams. Like, there's
Yeah.
some good runs. So, from a basketball perspective, what stands out?
Um, yeah, I probably the from a basketball perspective, my fifth year was probably the best year. I think we went into playoffs with an 18-2 record, which is one of the best records that I think Tanya had ever had, and we were kind of top of Can West. We ended up losing in the semis in Canada West Final Four, so we ended up with a bronze medal, which was amazing. It's always fun to go out on a win. And we should have got the wild card into nationals that year, but whoever was first place in the OUA, I can't even remember, they also lost in the
Uh,
semis. Yeah, so
damn.
so that was unfortunate for us. So I never actually got to go to nationals, but just ending my university career with a bronze medal and a win like that is probably one of the more memorable on-court experiences for sure with the Westmen. Yeah.
Nice, nice.
Hmm.
It's always nice to go out and win with a win.
Yes, yeah, I
Always
know,
nice
I
to
know.
go out and win.
Even though silver is better than bronze, it
He
feels better
still,
getting a bronze medal.
still,
Yeah, yeah,
100%. It really does. It
yeah,
really does.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and then so like obviously like after you finish playing, we were talking a little bit. I mean, you're not in education, you're not teaching now, but
Hmm.
the goal was to teach, and you actually went on to coach back at FRC. And I kind of threw in
Hmm.
casually that you were like you got coach of the year one of the years. And you're still coaching like as an assistant
Hmm.
with UW. So this was kind of like your return to basketball as a coach. But before, when you were playing, did you do any coaching at camps or any club teams, or was this like, hey, I'm done playing and you went right into coaching?
Most summers at U of W, I was coaching the Westman summer camps all summer. I started with Nick Lothar. Shout out to Nick Lothar, me and
Uh,
him all
Shout
summer.
out.
And then yeah, I just kept doing that and I really enjoyed it. Obviously at that point it was just kind of for money. It was like a
Yeah.
easy summer thing that kept me in the gym, but I really enjoyed it and as kind of I got older and graduated, I had tons of conversations with Tanya about like what coaching looks like after university
Mm,
and kind of like what how I can intertwine that into a career and stuff like that. So I was always interested in it. I didn't do much, like I just did summer camps at U of W, and then as soon as I graduated, I just kind of threw myself right back in. I
did
didn't
you
want to let
go?
go of basketball totally, but
So you didn't know no break, nothing like the year after you were coaching straight away?
I was helping. I was helping
Okay.
out at FRC just and then it's funny, I think it was yeah, it's 20 I guess it was 2018 when I head coached the U17 provincial team.
Yeah.
Um, and I think at that point I was only like 22 or something, and I had never head coached a team, and Tanya was the one that was like, I think you'd be great at it. I'll be your mentor coach. I'll be there with you all summer. Um, and that was kind of the first time where I was like, when an opportunity presents itself, I don't want to say no.
Mm,
And ever since then, I've kind of been saying yes to all the opportunities I get. So
yeah. Well, I
yeah.
mean, we did. I mentioned. I think I mentioned it in your intro. Like you were like the captain of the team for
Hmm.
your last 3 years, and then when you're 22, sure. Because what was your last year? Your fifth year? What year was that?
2017, I
Yeah.
graduated, and then
So,
2018, yes,
so yeah,
yeah,
so you're coaching the provincial team. Now you had
yeah.
Tanya. Now, how was that having her as your like she's your mentor, but like you're the head coach. You just finished playing for her, but you're not, you're a captain, so like you're familiar with
Hmm.
leading. What was that
Yeah.
transition like from going from player so quickly to coach?
Tough. It was very tough, and like even like as a captain and a leader on a team, you see the game so much differently when you're
Hmm.
on the court or when you're thinking about things from a player perspective, and to make that shift right to head coaching, um, it was really tough. And Tanya did a great job helping out and like kind of guiding me, but also trying to let me figure it out as well.
Mm.
But I felt like I was just thrown into the deep end, and sometimes you sink or swim. I feel like I did okay. I think we got fifth at nationals that year, but I had such a good team. Like I had Anna Kernahan, Lauren Bartlett, Claire Signatovich, Emily Johnson, like all of those girls went on to have like very successful university careers. So I was blessed with some good players, and I don't think they knew that I was 5 years older than them, just trying to figure it out. But I remember getting to nationals and I was coaching against like university coaches, like Cheryl Jean Paul was on the other side of the court.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm here like,
Shout
what
out.
am I doing? But no, it was good. It was a really fun experience. And after that summer, I was like, okay, I think I'm just gonna be an assistant coach for a little, a little bit, kind of get my feet under myself. But no, it was fun. It was good. And it didn't
Yeah.
scare me away at all. So
Well, I was gonna
that's
say
good.
you kept doing it, so
Hmm.
it couldn't have scared you. But
Yeah.
then, so it was after that, like, so then you said you helped out at FRC, but then you
Hmm.
eventually, when did you actually coach the team? Like, and how did that even happen?
Yeah, I was helping a little bit. I wasn't in education at that point. I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do with
Okay.
my life. I had a science degree and I was thinking about med school and just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Um, I know many people know after you leave being a student athlete for 5 years, you're kind of like, who the heck am I and what am I
Yeah.
doing and how do I be an adult and all that kind of stuff. So I was just working jobs trying to figure out like what I really wanted to do. And that's when Tanya kind of got me into coaching, but also was like, hey, if you like this, like education's a really good route for you
Hmm.
and stuff like that. So um, I went into the after degree program at U of M. So it's a 2 year after degree program. And at that time, I went back to head coach at FRC because they were looking for more coaches there. And I mean, that was my favorite place for 3 years. I won provincial championship there, and this holds a special place in my heart. So I kind of jumped at that opportunity to get back there, and yeah,
Yeah, and then, but you won Coach of the Year.
I did. Yes.
Were you surprised by that? Like, if being honest, or was it like, because I don't, I know how they pick these things. Like, it's partly like, hey, I love the way they coached, people vote, hey, they had an underachieving team, or hey, your team was really good and you did exactly what you were supposed to. So in your opinion, I mean, why do you
Hmm.
think they chose you? Like, what was the merit?
Um, I mean, I do think we had some really talented players. I had Martha and Anne was in grade 10. We pulled her up to varsity, and Priscilla. We had a good team, but I don't think anybody expected us to be number one or win the whole thing.
Mm,
But like the energy and the love that team showed for one another, like it just poured out onto the court when we were playing. Like you just couldn't not be a fan when you were watching those girls play. Like it was just so fun to be a
yeah.
part of, and just like lots of them don't come from a lot, and kind of basketball is like their safe space, and for us to kind of all come together and have that success on the court, like that was probably one of my most fun coaching experiences. It obviously ended not great because that was the COVID year that provincials got taken away.
Yes, yes, yes,
But
yes.
we did finish winning our division, which if anyone knows high school sports, our division, like that division is basically the provincials. You throw maybe one or two other schools into provincials, but and that was kind of an upset too, that win. So that was I'm kind of glad we got to finish on top. Obviously, like we didn't get to complete provincials and nobody did, but that's how that year ended. So
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that COVID, there's so many so many, I've interviewed so many people that are like, and then
No,
COVID
I
happened.
know.
And then COVID
Yeah.
happened.
And
It's
then
like,
COVID happened.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like the whole season
Hmm.
got canceled. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, and then that was at your last year being head coach?
Yeah, well, there was not really a school season, I don't think, that last year. And
Yeah.
then I was just finishing my ed degree, so I was kind of student teaching at different schools. Um, I was at Nelson Mac for a bit, and then I was at I'm blanking on the name, but it was a junior high, so there wasn't much basketball going on there. So,
Mm.
and that's kind of when I got involved with coaching Evolve and just did the club sessions. Yeah.
Got it, got it. So you stayed
Hmm.
coaching out of all though, but it wasn't high school that you stepped away from high school because
Yeah,
you were
yeah,
doing
because
the
I
student
was
teaching.
like subbing, I was all over the
Yeah.
place. I was doing short terms at different schools, so it was hard to kind of stay out of school when I was working at different schools all the
Mm-hmm.
time and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. So, yeah.
Yeah. So then you graduate and then you're like, hey, let me not go into education or let me not get a job in
Yeah.
education and let me so again, that's a short way of me saying like obviously we open up the conversation of you saying like, yeah, like I'm employee number one of
Hmm.
the Sea Bears.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask you, like, walk us through like did you
How
just
the
call
heck that
like
happened.
outright apply? Did someone call you like, hey, I heard you're like, how did you actually get the job?
Um, yeah, so I was like I said, I was teaching a little bit and I was serving, so I was just kind of grinding, I guess you would call it. I wasn't loving substitute teaching nor teaching in general, and I got into it at a really tough time. Like I did most of my practicums during COVID, so
Yeah,
obviously
that's
all
tough.
teachers know how tough that was and impactful that was on the students and stuff like that. And I wasn't sold on the career quite yet, and that's a tough career not to have your full
Yeah.
heart into it, obviously.
Yeah.
And I get the best parts of teaching when I coach, like the relationships with the girls, and
Hmm.
being able to be a mentor, an impactful person in people's lives. I get those perks from coaching. So I didn't really feel like my heart was in the teaching career. So then I was kind of like, what else am I gonna do? And then next thing I know, a professional basketball team is being announced in Winnipeg. And I was like, oh, what that would be such a cool job to work for them. I had no clue what I wanted to do, but I was just like, very cool. So I was talking to Eric Sung actually, and he's good friends with Rashawn Brown. And I guess
Hmm.
at that time, David Asper, who owns the team, was kind of consulting with Rashawn Brown because Rashawn had played in the CEBL before. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, Rashawn told Eric, "Give me her resume, like I'll get it into David's hands," and that's kind of how that happened. I didn't even know what job I was applying for. I literally just sent my resume. resume off. And then next thing I know, I had like an interview for this position. I had no clue how to prepare for it because I barely knew what position I was applying
Yeah,
for.
yeah,
But I think my basketball background obviously had a lot to help with Jason and David and stuff like that. So yeah, I always say my resume landed in the right hands and the opportunity presented itself. So
yeah, for sure, for sure.
so
That's crazy. And then like, so you have the interview and like, okay, we're gonna hire you. And then at that time, like, how small was the team in the first year? Like, was it as big as it is now, or was it like way smaller?
I think at that point we had the president and then there was like six full-time staff, so it was a little bit smaller. But yeah, I remember like the first day I showed up, it was me and Jason. We actually took over MSHAA's office here at Sport Manitoba, and
Yeah,
there was like one old desk left over and like a box of Sea Bears hoodies, and me and Jason kind of looked at each other like, all right,
yeah, this
time to
is
get
it.
going. This is it. So
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Very
If
cool.
knowing what I know now, if I knew that back in January, I can't believe that we got a season up and running and games played by May. Like what we did in those months is crazy looking back at it. But
Yeah.
yeah, ignorance is bliss, I guess.
Yeah, you made it happen.
Yeah.
Again, like
Yeah.
I've worked in the event space, and what the people don't know, it doesn't matter. Like sometimes
Yeah.
you just like it's if they saw behind the curtain, they might be like, "What the
Yeah.
heck's going on?" But don't
Yeah.
look back there.
Yeah.
Just look there. Everything's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So,
No, it's
mhm.
awesome. Yeah, you guys did a great job. I mean, I remember talking to Jason and Adam and stuff, and just from the beginning, like I was kind of in the know, and there's like it's happening and all this stuff, and
Mhm.
then just seeing, I was like, they're gonna have this. I'm like, what? Like it's already this date. I'm like, how are they gonna pull this off? And so yeah, to hear
Yeah.
your experience with it. I got to ask you a question about staying on the Sea Bears specifically.
Mhm.
What do you remember as, because who did I talk to? Was it Coach? Maybe it was Coach, or I don't know. Maybe it was asked David Asper. I don't know. Someone from the organization. I asked them. I said, like, what was a proud moment for you? And they always mention that first game as like a really proud moment because there's tons of people, the lawn, like just everything around it was just like amazing. Is that what stands out to you as well, or is there something else?
For sure. I still can remember that first game, and it does feel surreal that like we were able to pull that off and kind of make it that special. And um yeah, and being able to continue to do that is something we strive for all the time. And like I said earlier, like sometimes it takes you a second to kind of step back, and
Hmm.
those games are a good reminder. Like when I get to look in the crowd and I see all the
Yeah.
kids excited, or the people cheering, I'm like, wow, like this is crazy. Like this is so special. So yeah,
Yeah.
the first game was definitely one to remember, and obviously having Chad win the
Yeah.
game for us is even more special. So yeah,
Yeah.
that will go down in history books for sure.
Yeah. What do
Hmm.
you, is there a specific moment or memory or that you remember about that? Like, that day, or nervous? Like, are you concerned about anything? Like, hey, I don't know if like, what do you remember about that day that like stands out to you?
Um, well, honestly, I don't think any of us knew what to expect. Like, obviously, we're in the Canada Life Center, which like when
Mhm.
it's empty, it feels like such a big venue, and we had all the towels on the chairs, and kind of like the moment before like the doors opened, and just was like, okay, we have no clue if we're ready, we have no clue what's going to happen here, but let's see how it goes, and just that moment like before the doors opened and like the crowd came in. I still remember it, and like we still to this day kind of have like pre-door meetings where like the 10 of us meet up, and we're like hyping each other up, like stuff like
Yeah.
that. And it's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
special moment for sure to kind of take it all in before it gets crazy and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Enjoy it. These are
Hmm.
special moments. Like doing events I have a special place in my heart for, as stressful, as crazy as they can be. man, when those things happen, like, and it's like, okay, it's going
Yeah.
on. Like, like you said, everyone's cheering, like the thing is happening. And then you're
Hmm.
like, man, I'm working. This is amazing. You're like,
Yeah.
this is my job. What's going on here?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know.
So
Yeah. It's
really
very
cool.
fun. Yeah.
Really, really
Really
cool. Yeah.
cool.
And so you're still coaching.
I
You're
am. Yeah. I
back with
am
your alma
back.
mater. Yeah.
I am.
How
Yeah.
long have you been with the West, like as an assistant now?
Last season was my first season.
Okay.
So I feel like I was kind of finally in a position where I had some time to give back. And yeah, Alyssa, who I played with
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
at U of W, is the head coach. So being able to coach with a former teammate is obviously so much fun. And back at the university, it's and that level, I haven't coached at that level ever. So like working with girls who are in those years, they have some more skill. You know, you're not developing the fundamentals, but you're still working on things. It's a little bit more strategic.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a change, but it's been super fun. So yeah, last year was my first, and then I'm going to continue to do it through this upcoming season as well, for sure.
Okay, nice. How
Mhm.
many people are on the coaching staff?
There's four of us.
Okay.
So just because of the way practices work, we're kind of like in and out. Like
Mm-hmm.
I can't
Of
attend full
course.
time, neither can all the assistant coaches, but between the three of us, Alyssa always has at least somebody there, which I think is super helpful. Yeah.
So who's on the staff?
So Robin Boulanger, who I know you've
Mm-hmm.
interviewed
Yeah.
before, and Marie Brown is coming
Yeah.
back for another year. And
Okay.
then Alyssa's husband, Evan, helps out a little bit more behind the scenes. He'll come to
Yeah.
practices sometime, but
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Okay. So yeah, no, this year I interviewed Murray and
hmm.
Robin, and now
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
I interviewed Alyssa like way when she first got the
yeah.
job. Actually, yeah, she literally just got announced. I interviewed her. So there you go. I've interviewed
Hmm.
your whole
Yeah,
the whole
yeah, the
coaching
whole coaching
staff.
staff. Yeah,
So
yeah.
big question for you then, Megan. What's
Hmm.
the like you're doing the Sea Bears,
Hmm.
your operations, basketball, otherwise, other stuff as well. Do you have a desire in you to like stay connected through coaching? Is that something you foresee, like if as long as you have the space, you'll continue to do?
I think so. It's kind of like, I mean, people always ask me what I want to do. I still say I don't know as much as I have a job and stuff like that. I feel like there's like always new opportunities that come around
Mhm.
but coaching has been the one thing that like I'm passionate about. I get excited about, and like when I'm not doing it, I want to do it. So
Mm,
I've jumped around a lot. I've had my hand. I mean, I've coached mini ballers, I've coached 1 year
yeah,
olds, and now I'm
yeah.
coaching 23-year-old girls. So I've kind of done it all, and I just look back at all of the coaches that I've had over the course of my basketball career, and like I'm just so appreciative of all the time they give back. And I'm not doing
Hmm.
it out of guilt. I really do enjoy it, but I do feel a sense of obligation to kind of give back to that basketball community in Manitoba,
Yeah, yeah,
like all of my coaches have too. So I
yeah.
think as long as I have the capacity, I think I'll always be coaching in some way, shape, or form for sure.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Hmm. So my mind's taking me somewhere, and I don't know
Okay.
if anyone's thrown this out there before, but I mean, you're wearing so many hats with the Sea Bears. I know you're still early in your coaching game, but I mean, it's not like they coaching staffs in the CBL. I have like five coaches sometimes. Could
Hmm.
you ever see yourself in some time in the future being like, hey, like I have enough experience. I like, would you ever have the desire to do something like that? Just throwing it out there.
I'm not gonna tell you no, and I'm not gonna say that I would never do that, but coaching professional men's basketball is
Yeah.
definitely quite different
Yes.
than female U sports
For
basketball for
sure. For
sure.
sure.
But it has been interesting, and like even over the past like 2 seasons, like I've been involved a lot with the coaching staff, and
Hmm.
like I see what goes on behind closed doors, and I see how much kind of planning and
Hmm.
video work goes into kind of the professional coaching ranks. And um I'm never gonna say never, but it's not something that I'm like actively trying to do right
Yes.
now.
Yes.
But
Yes. Not right
it's
now.
No, but and just being able to be a part of it, I think
Yeah.
right now, like in some capacity, even if I'm at an arm's length,
Hmm.
is super cool and it's experience in itself, right? So,
For sure, for
mhm,
sure. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I'm just curious, like it's you're young, so you put more time in and it's just like more time, more time. Next thing you know, you're like right there. You're like, hey, I've been coaching for 8, 9, 10 years. Like, can I be on the staff? And like,
Right.
sure, we'd
Yeah.
love to have
Yeah.
you because you have experience and it's still
Yeah.
basketball. So
Hmm.
anyways, I'm just throwing it out there. Uh, I've now put it out there,
You're
okay?
not the first to throw it out there,
Okay,
don't worry.
there you
Yeah, yeah.
go. Okay,
So,
okay. I'm not
yeah.
crazy then. Okay, this
No.
is this is this is good. This is good.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so I mean we're getting close to the end here.
Hmm.
Now, as you know, I like to ask some direct questions at the end, and kind of end off with some advice. So, big question for you here is, what is your most memorable? It can be one, it can be many, or and these are up to you to answer, or funny,
Hmm.
or both basketball moments that you remember. So like it could be you can pick either or you can tell one of each. What comes to mind when I ask you that?
Okay, so it's funny because obviously I knew this question was coming or something like this question. So I threw it out in my group chat this morning. I'm like, hey, I'm on the Basketball Manitoba podcast. Tell me your funniest basketball memory because my mind is blanking right now. And all of them had a story about Tanya to tell me. And
Okay,
it's hilarious because
let's go.
like I mean we have obviously there's some stories that couldn't be
Uh,
shared, but
of course.
there's just so many funny stories about like I remember the very first time something like this happened. I was in my freshman year, and Tanya loved to say, okay, get to the baseline every time she was upset with us. So we're running man makers back and forth, and this time she actually said, keep running until I say stop. Normally she's like there and back twice or something like that. She goes, keep running till I say stop. So we're like, oh my God, like, do we pace ourselves? Like, are we sprinting? Like, we're all just looking at each other, like too scared to talk. So we're running, we're just gassed and whatever. She tells us to stop and we're at the baseline. And normally when we're running, she's like, who wants to hit a free throw to kind of quit
Yeah.
running kind of thing. So we think she's about to ask that question. So she's like, who? And then like four of us shoot our hand up because we're like, get us to the line. I'm
Yeah.
gonna hit
Yeah.
this shot to stop running. And she goes, who's tired? And so four of us have our hand up, and it's like the four of us who like want to shoot the shot, stuff like that. And so she looks at all of us. She's like, get out of my gym. And we're like,
Whoa.
oh my. So we're all like looking at each other. It's like me, Stephanie Clayson, Tia Coulter, Alex Warburton, and so we just like leave the gym, and that's never happened before. So we're
So
all
she
like,
hold on. She just kicked the people that
yes. And we thought we were
no.
volunteering to like quit, like shoot the free throw to,
Yeah, yeah,
end
yeah.
this. And she asked who's tired. So we put our hands up. So she's like, get out of my gym. So we're like, what? So we're outside the Duckworth doors and there's like little windows,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
we're
You can
like,
see
we're like looking in, we're looking at each other like, do we go get changed? Like, are we gonna be
Yeah.
invited back? We're all so confused. And she tells the rest of the girls, start running. So we're like looking in this window, like, uh-oh. And the rest of our team is like still running back and forth. So
Wow.
eventually Richard Gooch comes out into the hallway and he's kind of laughing because he knows Tanya is like, well, obviously Tanya's mad, but he knows that we're
Yeah.
gonna laugh about it later, right? So he goes, let's just wait here for another 5 minutes and you'll probably be able to come back into practice. But I remember like coming back into practice and everybody who is still running is just looking at us like shaking their head like, are you kidding me? You just
Yeah,
got out
like
of all
you did
that for
this.
yeah, for telling her you're tired. So there's just so many stories
Wow.
like that. Like one time I was I guess I don't even remember, but Alyssa was telling me in a game I like passed the ball to Alyssa in transition and I guess she wasn't looking and it just clipped her in the side of the head. And then she got subbed out by Tanya for not being aware. So there's just like so many memories like that we all have that we're kind of making fun of Tanya, but
Yeah.
just
Yeah, for sure,
yeah.
for sure. And
Hmm.
then what about on the memorable front? Does anything stand out to you?
I mean, I have so many memories from playing and on court. I think one of
Hmm.
my favorite basketball memories is back to grade 10 when we won our provincial championship. We had played Vincent Massey 5 times that season, and obviously Fort Richmond and Vincent Massey had back then for sure had a rivalry. We were just kind of down the road for each other, and we were 0-5 against Vincent Massey. So like going into the provincial championship against Vincent Massey, it was like no way they can win 6 times in a row.
Yeah.
But obviously there is also like they're a good team. So we ended up winning that game, and that was probably one of the most memorable kind of basketball experiences of my life. Megan Johnson and Arlen Filowich were my coaches
Yeah.
that year. And yeah, it was just a really fun season and a really fun way to end the year, finally getting that win off our
Yeah.
rivals.
Yeah,
Hmm.
the monkey off your back, as they say. Yeah,
Yeah, for
that's big
sure.
time. Well, no,
Hmm.
like I said, I appreciate you taking the time to
Hmm.
have this conversation, especially since you're someone who is a regular listener. So I love that.
Yes. Yeah.
But I want to end with a little bit of advice, and so
Hmm.
the best way to frame this question is I like to frame it just like, hey, you're talking to a room of people. I think based off your experience, you're talking to the remote like a provincial team. You know, they have like the
Hmm.
U15, the U17. They're all in there at the building there, and they're like, hey, we have Megan Noonan. She's gonna come in, and you're gonna like share some story or some piece of
Yeah.
information, right? You want to inspire someone, right? The
Yeah.
same way that maybe like when you had that coffee with Suki, and she's like, hey, you could
Hmm.
play. You remember that, and so you want them to remember something. They're not going to remember everything. You're going to be up there talking for 45 minutes. They're not going to remember half, but you want them to walk away from there with a memory. So what would be 3 things, ideas, or whatever mindsets that you would want them to remember from your talk that are important for their journey kind of moving forward in the game of basketball and in life?
3 things. Okay. I think one that comes to mind first that kind of has been a staple in my growth and my success is just consistency.
Mm,
And consistency in all things, just even like showing up, your energy and just like doing your job well, whatever your job might be. The more consistent you can show up, I think just good things are going to happen. Whether that be like putting in consistent hours in the gym outside of practice time, or consistently doing your homework, or
yeah.
just consistently being on time. I think like consistency is such a undervalued skill, and kind of that goes a long way, and can open a lot of doors when you are
Mm,
able to remain consistent. Um, that would be number one. I think number two is just being open to opportunities. Um, I think from a player and coach kind of experience, from a player standpoint, like just being open to learn from everybody around you, learn from different coaches, learning from different players, and just being open to trying new things, getting outside of your comfort zone. And with coaching, that has helped me a lot. Like the amount of things I've learned from people that I would have never expected to learn from, because I've just been
mm,
open to conversation, or like willing to listen, or kind of can learn from everybody. Even listening to these podcasts, I learned some things that like you can take away and
mm,
implement into coaching or playing and stuff like that. um and then I think probably a third one would just be some sort of like having the perspective of this is all bigger than basketball, and as
mm,
much as basketball is you know, so important in my life. It's when you take a step back, like it is, everything is bigger than basketball, right? The relationships you're building, the people you're meeting, the travel you get to do, everything is, I don't remember many wins and losses in my whole career. But like the skills that I've taken out of being able to play basketball has helped me tremendously in like everything I'm doing in my life. And I think sometimes when you're in it, it's hard to take a step back and see that perspective. But um, yeah, it's all bigger than basketball for sure.
yeah. Yeah. I
Mhm.
love those consistency. Yeah. I think those 3 things are big time. Like the idea that it is bigger than basketball. You have to be consistent, and then learning, right? Being open.
Yeah.
That's big
Yeah.
time. That's super big. Yeah. Because a lot of times people, they think they know everything
Yeah.
or they know too much. And
Yeah.
if you're open to just taking in new information, it can really change the way that you see something. Whereas if you're closed off, like you're just not going to be as flexible in a sense of like, I think it dulls your experience as far as how you experience things as well, right?
For sure.
Because you're
Yeah.
stuck in this like rigid thing when there
Right.
could be this really cool thing just right outside the thing, and then you're like, oh wow, that's really cool, and then now you have this whole different perspective that you can apply to a situation. So yeah, I love that. I love it.
Yeah.
So right now it's June, sorry. Just to kind of wrap here, championships are, when does is it hold on, it's just the Final Four, right?
Yeah. It's just
okay.
So it's August 22nd is the 2 semifinals, and the Sea-Bears get an automatic berth into the West Championship.
Yeah.
And then the final will be Sunday, August 24th.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. So that's going to be an exciting way to kind of cap off the season and of basketball, and I guess transition into the high school and college season. It's just super nice to have basketball, like, high level basketball year round. It's such a treat. So but no, thank you so much for taking the time, and I wish you all the best. And you know what, maybe in 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, I don't know, maybe you'll be coaching in the CPL as an assistant. I'm just putting it out there.
Maybe we'll see.
Right.
No, I appreciate you having me on. This was super fun. Thank you so much.
Sweet. Awesome.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. Please like, subscribe, follow, and share this series, and reach out to us with your comments on the show. Thanks again for joining us.